go to school and be so embarrassed of who you were.
Y a veces iban a la escuela y hasta con vergüenza de quién
Maybe
era.
I'm just the only one that was
A lo mejor soy el único que fue creado de esa manera.
Could never had a Christmas party
Nunca
because
tuvimos una fiesta de
the
Navidad.
moment that they're going to start serving the punch,
Porque cuando iban a hacer
I was mama checking you out.
mamá te estaba sacando de clase.
And that's good enough for us to hate church.
Y eso es bastante para que odiemos la iglesia.
So us to hate to be in a religious
Para
movement.
que odiemos estar en un movimiento religioso.
That's enough for us to have an image of God that He is a God that is phony and fake.
Es lo suficiente para creer que Dios es un Dios falso.
I mean, the way they brought us up is good enough to say that God is a God that carries a whip everywhere He goes.
De la forma que nos crearon era para pensar que servimos a un Dios que carga un chicote.
I mean, remember when you would fall and Mama would say, "That's what you get because Jesus had to punish you."
¿Te acuerdas cuando te caías y mamá te decía, Dios te quería castigar?
And we start building a mentality that God is a God of hatred.
Y empezamos a crear una mentalidad que Dios era un Dios de
That He's
odio.
a dictating God.
Que Él era un dictador.
That He's a God that forces things to
Que
happen.
es un Dios que forza las cosas a que ocurran.
And even though He is a God that can make things happen,
Y aunque es un Dios que puede causar que las cosas
He is
pasen,
not a God that forces things to
Él
happen.
no es un Dios que forza las cosas a que
The
pasen.
angels are not forced in heaven to be singing, to serving Him.
Los ángeles no son forzados en el cielo a cantar y adorar.
The angels are there voluntarily.
Ellos están ahí voluntariamente.
And the greatest example, the greatest proof of this
Y el ejemplo más grande que podemos ver
is when Lucifer revealed against God.
es cuando Lucifer se rebeló en contra de
And all
Dios.
the angels revealed against God as well.
Y todos los ángeles se rebelaron en contra de
Because
Dios.
we see that even the angels themselves don't serve God forcefully.
Porque vemos que aún los ángeles mismos no sirven a Dios forzosamente.
So when we speak about glory with violence,
So, cuando hablamos de gloria con violencia,
we can have a mentality that says, okay, is this thing going to be like we got to force things to happen?
podemos tener la mentalidad de, ok, tenemos que forzar a todo a que ocurra.
No, it's not going to happen.
No, claro que no va a pasar de esa
But it's
manera.
going to provoke something
Pero va a provocar algo.
that the desire is going to be there.
El deseo va a estar allí.
The glory with violence is going to provoke a desire
La gloria con violencia va a provocar un deseo
to do things voluntarily.
de hacer las cosas voluntariamente.
Glory with violence is not taking a person and choking him and says, you better say Jesus Christ is the Lord.
Gloria con violencia no es tomar a una persona por el cuello y confiesa a Jesucristo que Él es Dios.
Glory with violence is not taking people and pushing them down and saying, you better convert and you better take that off and put that down and put it up. And it's not about
La
that.
gloria con violencia no es tomar a una persona y forzarle y decirle quítate, ponte y todo eso.
The glory of violence is an acceleration that is going to stir up a passion.
La gloria con violencia es una aceleración que nos va a llevar a una pasión.
It's going to stir up an arising
Va a acelerar un levantamiento
of something that has been dead.
de algo que ha estado muerto.
Old structures would have killed us.
Las estructuras viejas nos matarían.
Old structures would have destroyed us completely.
Las estructuras viejas nos destruirían.
And let me be real.
Y vamos a ser reales.
Maybe I can't say this and I can't preach this to other
A lo
denominations.
mejor yo no puedo predicar esto a otras denominaciones,
But I can preach this to the Pentecostal
pero lo
denominations.
puedo predicar a los pentecostales,
Denominations that were brought in such a strict way
aquellos que fuimos creados en formas tan
that
estrictas,
everything was from Satan.
que todo era de Satanás.
You couldn't go to a theater because it was from
No
Satan.
podías ir al cine porque era de
You
Satanás.
couldn't have a TV at house
No
because it was
podías
from
tener
Satan.
televisión.
I remember we couldn't have a cable at the
Yo me
house
acuerdo que no podíamos tener cable
because Daddy said that was from the devil.
porque eso era del diablo.
And we couldn't have a TV.
Y no podíamos tener
I
televisión.
remember when the first TV came to our house,
Yo me acuerdo cuando entró la primera
it was black and
televisión.
white.
Era blanco y negro.
Everybody had remotes.
Todos tenían
We
control.
still had the
Nosotros teníamos la antigua.
and Daddy was kind of starting to be kind of liberal.
Y papá estaba ya siendo liberal con esa televisión.
And I can preach this to a conservative movement
Y yo puedo predicar esto a un movimiento conservador.
that even though right now we're still struggling with a lot of those mentalities and ideas.
Que aunque aún seguimos luchando con esas viejas imposiciones.
And I thank Mom and Dad for the way they brought us up.
Y yo le agradezco a mamá y papá por cómo nos crearon.
I thank God for the men and women that God used back in those times.
Yo le agradezco a Dios por los hombres y mujeres que Él usó en esos tiempos.
Because if it wasn't because of that conservative way,
Porque si no fuera por esas formas conservadoras,
maybe we would be over heels right
a lo
now.
mejor anduviéramos por otro lado ahorita.
Maybe we would have been destroyed already.
A lo mejor ya hubiéramos sido destruidos.
Maybe we would have been killed already.
A lo mejor ya no hubiéramos muerto.
And thank God that we had a mama that was after us all the
Y
time.
gracias a Dios que teníamos mamá que no nos dejaba en
That
paz.
she was was smelling our undies to see where we're at.
Hasta nuestros calzones huelían a ver dónde andábamos.
I mean, thank God for these kind of mamas
Gracias a Dios por estas madres
that would, you know, that would go through the closet and then through the mattresses and everything.
que iban por el closet hasta los colchones.
Nowadays we have mamas that don't even care what their kids are talking on Facebook.
Ahora tenemos mamás que ni les importa lo que hablan en
And
Facebook.
we need mamas to stand up for their
Y
children.
necesitamos mamás que se paren con sus hijos.
We need mamas to start going through what's happening in their closets and in their bedrooms and in their computers and their iPods and iPads and iPhones.
Necesitamos mamás que revisen los closets, las iPods, las iPads, las computadoras.
We need mamas to stand up and fight for their children.
Necesitamos mamás que peleen por sus hijos.
I thank God for the way they brought us up.
Yo le agradezco a Dios por cómo fuimos creados.
But I'm not willing to continue how I was brought up.
Pero yo no estoy dispuesto a continuar como yo fui creado.
I'm not willing to bring my children up the way I was brought up.
Yo no estoy dispuesto a meter a mis hijos bajo esa estructura.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Y yo les diré el por qué.
Because I felt like the valley of dead bones.
Porque yo me sentía como el valle de huesos muertos.
No desire to serve God.
Ningún deseo de servir a Cristo.
No dream to serve God.
Ningún sueño de servirlo.
The world was even greater and more dazzling than what the Christianity
El mundo
was.
tenía más atracción, estaba más llamante.
And let's be honest.
Y hay que ser sinceros.
How many of y'all love sin?
¿Cuántos les aman? ¿Cuántos
I
de ustedes
know y'all
aman
don't
el
love
pecado?
sin.
Yo no amo el pecado.
But sin is good.
Pero
It
el
tastes
pecado es
good.
bueno, sabe rico,
It tastes good.
sabe muy bueno.
It has a tremendous effect and a tremendous consequence.
Tiene un efecto tremendo y una consecuencia tremenda.
But it's so attractive that you don't see the consequences.
Pero es tan llamativo que no ves las
The
consecuencias.
consequence is death, the Bible
La
says.
consecuencia es muerte.
But it becomes so attractive that you don't see the
Pero se hace
consequence.
tan atractivo que no vemos la
You see
consecuencia.
the attraction.
Ves la atracción solamente.
You see the pleasing about it.
Ves el placer que trae.
And sometimes we forget to consider the
Y
consequence of it.
muchas veces nos olvida considerar las consecuencias.
So we start battling with Christianity that has nothing to impress you with,
So empezamos a pelear y a luchar con una cristianidad que no tiene ni una sola atracción,
but that has a tremendous and an outstanding consequence.
pero que tiene una consecuencia tremenda y bella.
And then you have the world that has a very destructive
Y
consequence,
tienes al mundo que tiene una consecuencia
but a very
destructiva,
attractive image.
pero un paquete muy
Are you
atractivo.
with me?
¿Están conmigo?
Are you with me? And it's supposed to be the other way around.
Y
don't you
debe ser
think?
de la otra forma, ¿no creen?
I mean, you see people when they advertise marbles, Marble Light 100s,
Ves a gente,
menthol.
ves en la televisión cuando anuncian Marble Lights, ¿sí?
And you see this guy. Why do they put him without a shirt?
Y ves a un muchacho sin camisa, no sé por qué, pero sin
Why do they
camisa.
have to put him smoking without a shirt?
¿Por qué tiene que estar fumando sin camisa?
Why do they have to advertise a girl in bikini whenever they're advertising Bud Light?
¿Por qué tiene que poner a mujer en bikini cuando están promocionando?
Why don't they put on the billboard a man with all kinds of windpipes and all kinds of tubes running up his body and into his nose and mouth, and he's in ICU dying because he has lung cancer?
¿Por qué en la promoción no ponen a un hombre muriéndose que trae la abertura donde no puede respirar con cáncer y todo en las
Because if they were to be real,
porque si fueran real
they would not prevail.
no prevalecerían.
So they have to be fake
So tienen que ser falsos
so that they can prevail in their
para que puedan
consequences.
prevalecer en sus
And in the
consecuencias.
church, it's the other way
Y
around.
la iglesia es de la otra forma.
We are fake.
Nosotros somos
Christ isn't about being bored.
no es acerca de estar, Dios no es un Dios aburrido.
Christ is not about being, I hear people that say, how are you? Well, I'm blessed and highly favored. Shut up, you're broke.
No hay más gente decir yo soy bendecido y altamente con favor de
We're
Dios.
fake sometimes.
Cállate, no traes
Well, I'm the head and I'm the tail and I'm above and I'm beneath and I'm highly favored and I'm created in God's image and God is with me like a power. Shut up, you are trying to run away and trying to kill yourself and you got personal issues and you cry at night and you're in depression, you're fat and you don't like it, you're ugly and you don't like it, you want to change, you're going through issues, you're sleeping around. Let's make it real.
Y dices, yo soy la cabeza y no la cola, estoy arriba y no abajo, soy favorable y ando con que dice verdadero. Te quieres matar y andas durmiendo ahí por ahí.
Let's be real.
Vamos a ser reales.
And sometimes we have the opposite image.
Y a veces tenemos la imagen
When
diferente.
we should be the ones with the billboard.
Cuando nosotros debemos de ser los que tenemos los
Now he's
anuncios,
speaking about delightful life.
hablando de la vida en abundancia.
Not Mother Teresa up there.
No a Madre Teresa allá arriba.
We need to expose what life is all about.
Tenemos que exponer lo que es la vida verdadera.
When I became a Christian,
Cuando yo me hice cristiano,
like I said, I didn't have a desire to become a pastor.
yo no tenía un deseo de ser cristiano. Como
I was having a good time on my own, you know.
yo estaba gozando de la vida.
Yeah, every now and then, you know, especially whenever I was going to take some exams and I was going through some issues, that God, you know, if have you ever prayed those prayers? You know, when you say, God, if you get me out of this, I promise you.
Sí, de vez en cuando, usted sabe, aunque andaba allá, pero cuando tenía una prueba o una dificultad venía de volada, me recordaba, Señor, te prometo que si me sacas.
You haven't prayed since last Katrina, but God, I promise you.
No había orado desde el último huracán Katrina.
You haven't prayed since 9/11. You haven't prayed since 9/11, but God, if you get me out of this, I promise you I will.
Y empiezas a llegar con una actitud, Señor, si me sacas, y te prometo que voy a.
And I would do that.
Y yo hacía esas promesas.
But one day I had an encounter with a God that I didn't know.
Pero un día yo tuve un encuentro con un Dios que yo no conocía.
This was a God that I had never imagined.
Este era un Dios que yo nunca había imaginado.
A God that I had never been taught of.
El Dios que a mí nunca se me había enseñado.
I had been taught a God of anger, of wrath.
Yo conocía al Dios de enojo, al Dios de ira.
A God of discipline.
El Dios de la disciplina.
I knew a God of strategy and structure that was rigid.
Yo conocía a un Dios que era rígido con sus estructuras y sus formas.
But one night when I least expected it,
Pero una noche cuando yo menos lo pensaba,
I wasn't even thinking of it. I was listening to Boys to Men.
yo ni pensaba en eso, estaba escuchando a Boys to Men.
You know, having a good time riding down the road, and
Iba manejando, escuchando buena música.
all of a sudden, God, I had an encounter with God.
Y de repente tuve un encuentro con Dios.
That vehicle that I was driving got invaded with His presence.
Ese carro que yo iba manejando fue lleno de la presencia de
And
Dios.
for the first time, I felt His love,
Y por la primera vez yo pude sentir su amor.
an overwhelming love.
Un amor sobreabundante.
It's crazy when you hear the word violence,
Es loco cuando oyes la palabra violenta.
and you think that it's about machine guns and
Y
bazookas,
crees que se trata de
grenades.
pistolas y bazucas.
And especially when we talk about the atomic bomb, you're like, oh my God,
En especial cuando hablamos de
Lord
una bomba
Jesus, there's a
atómica.
fire.
Señor Jesús, hay un fuego.
And it's hard to explain it.
Y es muy dificultoso explicarlo cuando tratamos.
How the love of God is violent.
¿Cómo es que el amor de Dios es violento?
His love is violent.
Su amor es violento.
And when His love came into that vehicle,
Y cuando su amor entró a ese vehículo,
I started feeling something that I had never felt before in my
yo empecé a
life.
sentir algo que yo nunca jamás había sentido en mi vida.
My sister Dora was with me. She was jamming out with me.
Mi hermana Dora iba conmigo, ella también iba gozando de la música.
And I remember far, far away I could hear her.
Y yo recordaba que a lejos yo la podía escuchar.
And she told me,
Y ella me dijo,
what's wrong with you?
¿qué está pasando contigo?
Tell me something.
Dime algo.
And my body was so cold.
Y mi cuerpo estaba tan frío.
I mean, it was so cold.
Estaba tan frío.
You know, those times that you feel like if somebody was just tapping on your fingers, it's going to break.
Ya sabes esos tiempos cuando sientes que si alguien te toca te
And I
quebra.
extended my hand to her so she could feel my hands because I couldn't talk.
Y yo extendí mi mano hacia ella para que la toque porque yo no podía hablar.
And the moment that she touched me, I felt electricity come into my
Y
hand.
cuando ella tocó mi mano, yo sentí electricidad que me entró al cuerpo.
And I felt something invading my whole
Y
body.
sentí algo que me invadió el cuerpo.
And for the first time,
Y por la primera vez,
I had the experience of speaking in tongues.
tuve la experiencia de hablar en lenguas.
This was back in 99.
Esto fue como en el 99.
Danza was not even here
La
yet.
danza todavía no existía.
Speaking in tongues was way out there.
La hablar en lenguas estaba allá, arriba.
You know, we were still in Más Allá del Sol.
Todavía estábamos más allá del sol.